Well, good afternoon, Evergreen State College, Tacoma. We are so honored to have you here on a Saturday, on a beautiful Saturday. Now, you could have been anywhere else, but you chose to be with us. And we have very important projects to talk about today. So we are so glad you're here for our 2021 Spring Fair. We would take no more seconds than to honor our own mayor, who will open this fair and give a few kind words to Evergreen. Good afternoon, Mayor.
Good afternoon, Dean Tate Arunga. It is such an honor to be here with you all today. You know, it's so funny. When I was thinking about this event this morning, I was thinking of, might have been 3 or 4 years ago, when I was actually on campus for the event. And I can't tell y'all, after the governor's announcement yesterday, I can't wait to get back on campus to see all of you in person, because while Zoom has been helpful over the past year, it has also kept us too far apart from one another in a physical way. And I can't wait to be with you all in person. Those of you who know me know I'm a hugger. So just be prepared for it. When I see you, I'm gonna give every one of you a hug. And I can't wait to celebrate together in person. But what has been so amazing, in spite of all the difficulty this past year, is that we've learned how to pivot. We've learned how to still bring programming and opportunities and information forward in a way that a year and a half ago, we wouldn't even thought was possible.
Yes.
I'm a kid who grew up in the Jetsons age. And I remember watching the Jetsons when they would throw some food in something and it would come out cooked. We call that a microwave now. I remember when they had Rosie who would clean the house, and now we have the Roomba that'll vacuum your floors for you. And then I remember when they used to talk to each other on that little phone, and I was like, I wonder if that will ever happen in this time. And now look, we can be together with people from all, not just across our city or our state, but across the entire world in real time. We can be together. And so I love the fact that we've been able to pivot, and now we have more tools than we've ever had in order to be together as community. So often community was just defined as, you know, those people in your neighborhood, or those people in your school, or even just those people on your block, or in whatever part of town you live in. But now community means so much more, because we can be together in so many ways. I am so proud of the reputation of Evergreen State College, Tacoma. Now, don't get me wrong, I love your home campus, and I love the home organization, but I'm a Tacoma girl. And I'm from the days of none other than Maxine Mims. I'm from the days of when this school began, and my old mind is killing me right now because I can see her and cannot call her name. Her daughter sang in my choir.
Joy Hardiman?
Dr. Joy Hardiman. Joy,
yes.
If you're on here, if anybody sees Joy, charge it to my head and not to my heart. But I'm from the Joy Hardiman days. And this campus's commitment to your vision of enter to learn, depart to serve, yes. Is what I have seen from this school, not just in what you say, but in how you show up in community. So today, with your theme, the power in community, I think it's so fitting for you, because they're not just words. They're not just, you know, some people pick a pretty theme just because it sounds good, but it's what you all do every single day. And when we think about the power of our community, when we think about what that looks like when we come together, the change we can make, we can look across the country for that. But I'm a firm believer, let's just look right at home. Because when you look across the country, you can point and say, well, gosh, they did that over there, or it's there. But when we look inside our own community, and we know that there is power just right here, and we can see the examples of that power, then that makes it even more special. And it's even more inspiring to us. I know it's more inspiring to me. So when I look at this past year, And I think about what we've been through, whether that is the pandemic or systemic racism or all of the uprising or, just all of the things that have happened in our community. And I think about as we watch the news and how it's played out in other communities. And then I look at Tacoma. And I look at the fact that tens of thousands of people, including a lot of you on this call, over the summer and into the fall, demonstrated and demanded change in our community. And that change is happening. And that's because Tacoma, you all know how to come together to make your demands and then hold people like me accountable to make that change. Yes. So one of the things that has come out of this work is the city of Tacoma's, our resolution last year, 40622. You all have been on the council for 7 years as a council member and 3.5 years now as mayor. And I cannot tell you, I have not remembered the numbers of a resolution, but 40622 is a number I cannot let go of because that's the city's commitment to becoming an anti-racist city. That's where we stuck our stake in the ground and said, we're going to do this work. We're going to make sure that we are removing all barriers in every system, not just because we want to and it's the right thing to do, but because our community came together, demonstrated power, and we responded to the call. We have stood up our Heal the Heart initiative in Tacoma with our core coordinating team. And let me be very clear, I am so proud that your very own dean is sitting on that core coordinating team made up of 17 community members, y'all. Not the 17 people we always see, not me, not Lau Kwasim, not those of us that you see all the time, but really the grassroots of our community, people who have never engaged before have come together to say, what can we do? How can we use the power of our minds and our ability to be together to make change? And they've been together not even 6 months yet, have identified 6 systems that they want to have change. And then they're going to bring policy recommendations to us. But that's the power of people coming together. And that's the difference you can make, whether it is 2 people or 5 people or 5,000 people. I continue to say during this past year, we are stronger together. And we can make the kind of change that we want to see together. I will be honest with you all, when we started talking about change in this community and we were all screaming about public safety and policing, I think that's important. But what I've committed to with the Heal the Heart core coordinating team is that I'm not interested in a perfect criminal justice system. I'm interested in removing barriers that keep people out of the criminal justice system so that people can thrive in this community. And I'm asking you all as we move this forward to stay engaged with us. I know that your dean will be coming back to you to tell you all how you can be engaged, but stay engaged. We cannot do this alone. And I'll say it again, we cannot do this alone. We need all of you to be with us. We need the power of this entire community. If we want to make this change and we want to make Tacoma the city that we call it to be, the city of destiny, then it's going to take all of us to be together working on behalf of everyone in this city. So I thank you all today for being here. I thank you for the work that you do every day. And as I read to you, enter to learn, depart to serve, I'm going to change that because y'all enter to learn, but you start serving long before you depart. That is one thing about Evergreen. It isn't like you graduate and then you go serve. Once you get in the building, you become of service to this community. And I am just so grateful for every single one of you. Gilda, it is so good to see you today. Back at you, my friend. But thank you all so much for the work that you do. And remember, when it seems like you can't do any more, Dr. Martin Luther King told us that everyone can be great because everyone has an opportunity to serve. And it doesn't matter what you come with. It doesn't matter whether you've got a degree or you ain't got a degree. It don't matter whether you can make your verbs and nouns agree. It doesn't matter about any of that. What matters is that you have a heart to serve, that you have a heart to serve. And that's what I know about Evergreen students. Thank you all so much. I love you all. I will always be here for you, however I can support you. Have an incredible day and continue believing in the power of community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is our Mayor of Tacoma, Victoria Woodard. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
What an honor. And now over to our Spring Fair Committee.
Yes, and G, would you like to introduce the next?
I definitely will. Hello, everybody, and welcome, 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 welcome. I'm so thankful to see everybody participating in this today. We worked real hard, and I appreciate the words from our mayor. It is just a beautiful day. You're beautiful people. Hey, I'm excited about it. My heart is beating. I love you, and thank you so much. At this time, with no further ado, I would like to welcome Miss Candace Wesley as our next speaker.
Unmute.
Unmute, Miss Wesley.
Hello, everybody. Greetings. I would like to acknowledge our land. We acknowledge that we are on the traditional homelands of the Puyallup tribe. Though the Medicine Creek Treaty of 1854 removed Native peoples to clear the way for colonial settlement, the Puyallup people have lived on and stewarded these lands since the beginning of time and continue to do so today. Evergreen Tacoma College lends gratitude to the Puyallup tribe upon whose ancestral lands we reside and work. We commit to uplifting the voices, experiences, and histories of the indigenous people of this land and beyond.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We appreciate your beautiful words and truths. I live in the Puyallup Nation myself. Oftentimes I wonder if I should be paying my mortgage down the street at the office, because I'm just a few blocks from the headquarters. Thank you very much for your kind words. Now, we would like to go ahead and introduce a great speaker, Pastor Netra Williams. Warm applause.
Good to be back home, Evergreen T. I graduated from Evergreen T in 2009, so I'm glad to be back home. I have the privilege today to introduce our speaker. Sarah Lloyd is a powerful Black leader, mentor, and educator determined to change the world without apology. A social entrepreneur, she has worked in K-20 education, nonprofits, and workforce development. And her engaging style, hilarious perspective, and powerful storytelling is only overshadowed by one thing: her relentless commitment to creating equity-centered spaces that foster accessible, authentic opportunities for powerful leadership. She has a BA in advertising from Wazoo, go Cougs, they told me to say that, a MA in educational leadership from the University of Northern Colorado, and is currently in pursuit of her PhD from St. Martin's in leadership studies and social justice. Sarah Lloyd is a single mother of 3 little girls in 2nd, 4th, and 6th grades, and she lives with her girls and their bull terrier in Olympia. Welcome, Miss Lloyd.
Well, thank you so much for the introduction, and thank you for having me here today. I'm so thrilled to be here, and I'm a big fan of Evergreen, Tacoma especially, like the mayor said earlier. So my name is Sarah Lloyd, and I'm the principal disruptor for Soul on Fire. And I run an organization that's focused on how do we escalate and elevate leadership with equity at the center. And today I want to talk about what it looks like to lead powerfully in community. So first, I want to take a minute to do introductions. If you can type in the chat what your name is, what's your primary role that you play in this community, and then when are you at your most powerful? If you can enter it all in one entry, that will help everything go together. If you have technical difficulties, no worries. So we'll take a minute to do those introductions. Okay, so we have when I'm around people who are working towards the same goal. Yes, Mayor, yes. When I'm in the flow, nothing like the flow, right, Elaine? When I'm with my family and chosen family. Family is so powerful. Congratulations, Christine, graduating. Get it, girl. At my most powerful when I'm supporting and collaborating with others in work and family life. So good. Teamwork makes the dream work, right? Serving people who experience homelessness in the tiny home village in East Tacoma. Thank you for your service in that. Ellen Short Sanchez, what's up, girl? Listening to others makes me powerful. Well, you're in for a treat today, my friend. When I'm growing things, helping students uncover their greatest powers, serving, passionate about community change. Oh, okay. So I'm just with my people today. Okay, I feel it. So thank you all for sharing that. So like I said, I'm Sarah Lloyd. So a few things about me. I'm a single mother to 3 beautiful Black queens. I call them the 3 little birds. They are 12 and under. I'm a daughter, so I'm a total daddy's girl, and my mom and I were best friends before she passed away last year. I'm a sister. I'm a middle child, and if you know anything about birth order, don't be alarmed. I'm a super well-adjusted middle child, okay? My sister is 4 years older, my brother 3 years younger. I'm a friend. I'm one of those people who everyone's like, Sarah Lloyd is my best friend. And not many people actually know much about me, which is a fascinating thing that probably some of you connect with. And then I'm a mentor. I believe in the power of the collective, and I regularly talk about we before me, which is the approach that I utilize to do the work that I do. Also, I know you're sitting there being like, oh my gosh, she is so fabulous. And I get it. It's totally a vibe, right? So I'm also a boss lady. I run my own business. I've been doing that for 18 months now. And in my county, Thurston County, I live down in Olympia. Last year, small businesses, 28% of them closed. And I am on my way upward and onward. So I'm very grateful to be running things the best way I know how. I'm a board member in my community. I'm a graduate student, and I'm super hilarious. So here's the good news. Even if once I get talking, you're like, I actually don't care about what she's saying, you could listen intently anyway, and some of the things will be funny, and then it still will be beneficial for you. So either way you win, which is so delightful, right? A few other things that you probably don't know, even if you were like, who is Sarah Lloyd? I've never even heard of her before. So then you start Googling, you probably found out some interesting things, including this amazing photo of me with like gold blonde hair. It was very good, okay? But what you didn't find out is that I'm afraid of heights. I love baking. I do CrossFit. I think soup is the most disgusting invention ever. We can talk about my deep feelings about it another day. I'm super, super introverted. I'm an avid reader. I'm constantly reading at least like 20 books at a time. I'm super curious. I'm like the queen of all the questions. I have a podcast. It's legendary. If you've never heard it, you should check it out. I'm a foster mother. My foster child is 23 now, which is pretty surreal. I'm lactose intolerant. I'm a math whiz. I was once a mathlete, so it was the first trophy I've ever won. It's probably around the house somewhere. And I've also moved 19 times in my life, okay? So why does all of that matter? It's critical to spend time in community and building relationship, because when you have that connection with others, that's when you're willing to go through the fire for people, right? Like if I called you before today at 3 a.m. and I was like, hey, friend, I'm stranded. You probably, being the amazing change agents that you are in the community, you would be like, okay, here's some resources, I got you, whatever. But you're not putting on shoes and you're not coming to get me, right? Because you don't even know me. And if we become best friends, then you'll be like, okay, girl, where you at? You're putting on the coat, you're putting on the hat, you're getting the keys and you're coming to my rescue, right? And so what does it look like to generate community in spaces like Zoom? And it's important to think about, it doesn't take a lot to generate community, right? Like in that 2 slides with about 22 facts about me, you now have an understanding of how I'm going to come at this work, right? So it's critical to understand it takes very little, except for intentionally little, to build really quality community. In addition, it's really important. I think we often get opportunities for people to come in front of us in a room or on a Zoom call, and we're just supposed to inherently trust their wisdom and brilliance, but they don't build context at all about why we should be listening. So I also feel like it's critical for me to say, here's where I'm coming from, so you can decide whether you want to listen or not. So it's important to think about, like, how do you define community, right? Because community is so important. And when we're talking about the power inside of a community, it's important to have shared language about what does community actually mean. So take a minute and put how you would define community in the chat. There's no Googling, there's no Webster. How do you, in your own words, define community? So take a minute to do that. Okay, we've got a network of mutual connection and support, people of different walks of life that come together, finding networks of commonality, shared love of justice, people who help each other, community is family, showing deference for all I encounter and offer assistance when I can, people with shared need, goals, vision, collective working together for the betterment of everyone. I love it. Thank you all for your engagement in that. So my community is the collective, okay? And I love the words that the mayor was talking about a minute ago, in that, like, you know, community looks global now in times when we are both like isolated in some ways, but also technology is connecting us. It's important to think about, fundamentally, if my community is the collective, then that shifts and changes my obligation to leading powerfully in my community. Right? So for some people, community looks like, you know, I live in a cul-de-sac, there are 4 houses there, that's my community. For some, it might look like a city or a town. When it is the collective, it shifts and changes how do I move through this well, right? So how then, if you look at a collective, how then do we best lead powerfully inside of a community space? And I want to talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Okay, Maslow's hierarchy of needs was a theory built in the 1940s. And you all have probably seen at least 100 different versions of this pyramid, right? Where there's physiological needs at the bottom, self-actualization at the top. And the idea is that if you haven't met level 1 needs, then you can't meet level 2 needs, and then on throughout the pyramid, okay? Why this is critical is this theory is one of the only theories that exists that has been accepted across all different disciplines inside of, you know, people in biology believe that it's true and valid, people inside of business. So as you understand this, what we all know is you have a frame of reference for how people move through this, and experts in whatever field you're working in have accepted it as true. Now, there might be flaws associated with it for sure. Nothing is perfect. And it's important to know when we're talking about meeting basic needs, when we're talking about social justice movements, when we're talking about creating radical change inside of organizations, it's important to understand that if there are some theories that say that if you have not tied Maslow's hierarchy of needs to the work, then your work won't work, okay? So it's important to have that frame of reference. So when you look at that and understand, so my basic needs need to be met in order for me to think about safety, and my safety needs need to be met in order for me to think about belonging. And my belonging needs need to be met before I can think about whether I have self-esteem and whether other people around me respect me and what I bring. And that has to be intact before I can become my best self. What most people don't know is that Maslow, about 25 years after he created this theory, realized that he missed something. And when he started looking at how life was happening towards the end of his life, how things were working, he recognized there's actually a 6th level. And the 6th level is self-transcendence. What self-transcendence looks like is saying, yes, I need to become my best self. So I've worked through 1 through 4. I become my best self. And I do that so that I can choose one single cause, dedicate my life and work to it for the good of the collective, okay? So if you understand fundamentally that your purpose on this earth is to serve the collective, then everything again becomes right-sized around like, what does it mean for me in this moment to make a decision, whether it's small or large? Because I understand that it's not about me being my best Sarah Lloyd ever, which obviously is happening now. It is about saying, how does this impact my community? What does it look like for people who are suffering right now? What does it look like for people who have need? What does it look like for those who are thriving? So when you have that kind of accountability, it shifts and changes how you filter the decisions that you make. So then what does it look like to operationalize that, right? Like, I am a huge fan of theory. I can sit in theory all day. I can go down rabbit holes learning all the different things. And it's important to operationalize it. So one of the things that's important for my style is to do both theory and practice, okay? So, because sometimes you have things, you learn something really amazing, your brain explodes, you're like, oh my gosh, that's amazing, but you don't know what to do with it, right? So you have a great concept, no idea how to apply. And then sometimes you receive a tool and you're like, this tool is very helpful, but I only know how to use it in a very specific situation because I don't have the theoretical understanding behind it. So I can't shift and change the context under which I utilize this tool. It's important to have both, so then you can walk through and say, some of this is working for me, some of it is not, and you can do that appropriately. So I narrowed it down. There's about 152 things you need to do, but I narrowed it down to 4. It's a lot more brain science friendly. So number 1, assess. Figure out where it is you are in the process and what does it look like to move throughout your experience and your community with those gifts and talents, right? So how do you process through all of that noise, all of the things that are happening in your world, all of the things that are making no sense to you, and how do you continue to get a lay of the land and move through that with some strong awareness of level 6 living, right? Which is that I'm transcending myself always for the good of the collective, right? And then started from the bottom. So getting a really good understanding of where you're starting from. What do you have? What gaps exist? What is the ideal in this outcome? And then moving to now we're here and understanding that in order to fill those gaps, while you can absolutely do it on your own, you're capable, you're strong, and you're powerful, you're not your most powerful self without the collective. And so it really is saying, you know, I'm one, for instance, like asking for help sometimes causes like physical pain. And there's some real value in walking through life together. In addition, like when people have an opportunity to help me, even in areas that I'm strong and I can do it, they're gaining valuable skills and lessons and experience, and we're building community in that space, right? So it's critical to figure out where you're at, what is it you're starting with, where are you headed, and what is that gap, and then how do we come together as a we to meet those needs. And then you're just going to rinse and repeat that infinitely for the rest of your life, right? So it's pretty simple, right? It's also important to think about, okay, so if it's that simple, there has to be like a margin for error or a way to mess this up. And for sure, there are a few of those too. So here's what not to do. Number one, centering whiteness. It's inherently challenging in a white supremacist system that perpetuates patriarchy also to not center whiteness in all of the things we're doing. And inherently white supremacy is counterintuitive to collective liberation. So thinking about what does it mean for us to question what's at the center of all of the decisions we make, every single process we have, like what is at the center of it? Sometimes we can do DEI work and still have whiteness at the center. So how are we disrupting our own programming? All of us have it to protect white comfort, to protect white supremacy and perpetuate that. And if we are centering whiteness, we can't do it. Also, like the glorification of busy is real, right? Like, so everyone's busy all of the time. No one has enough time. And so one of the things that can happen when it's time to do this kind of work is to say, like, I'll do it when I find time. And I'll do it when I find time is like the Christopher Columbus of discovery. Okay. Like we will never find time. Time exists and it's all around us. And so when we come upon an hour that we can utilize to better ourselves, we didn't discover anything. It's about prioritization. And so it really is about saying, if this is important, if I understand fundamentally that my schedule is a moral document that is telling me and others what I value, then I have to prioritize time to do this work. I have to prioritize time to assess what it looks like to go through each need level and figure out how, what gaps do I need to fill and how can I do that best. Number three, hangry higher purpose. So again, when we go back to that Maslow's hierarchy of needs and we understand there are 6 levels, if we're hungry, we cannot have a great discussion about what our strategy is to move forward. We just can't. We don't have the presence of mind for it, right? It's kind of like when your best friend is telling you a really engaging story and you totally want to listen, but you really have to go to the bathroom, right? At some point you stop listening and all you're thinking is like, I have to go to the bathroom. So we have to be able to check in with each other and with ourselves about like, are the basic needs met in order to have the kinds of conversations we want to have? Because if you are hungry and I'm standing between you and a meal, you're not going to be able to meet me in the expectations it takes to do self-transcendence work, right? So really thinking about like for my own self, what does it look like to meet my basic needs? And then for others, how do I hold them accountable to meeting their basic needs? The other thing I love about Maslow's hierarchy of needs is it's really simple. And so sometimes what I'll do is I'll create a visual for people and I'll have, oops, I'm just dropping things, don't worry about it. So I'll have a little like, it's all 6 levels, right? And then what I'll have people do is just color in each level, like, how are you doing right now, right? And you can do it on a scrap piece of paper, you can do it on a Post-it. It doesn't have to be fancy, but draw the pyramid, draw the 6 levels, and then say, okay, like basic needs, I didn't really sleep last night, I'm kind of hungry and I'm thirsty. So that's about half, right? And then let's go to safety and security. I'm not sure if I'm keeping my job, and I need to change the locks on my door. So you color that in. And as you're coloring each of the levels, then be honest about, if this was an actual pyramid, would it stand? And if it won't stand, if it looks a little bit shaky and a little bit shabby, then how can I expect myself or others to show up in self-transcendence, which is at the top, right? Because a pyramid has to be strong at the bottom, otherwise it won't stand. So then you can be in space to say, okay, well, what does it look like to close those gaps? And how do I right size expectations? Because I think everyone should give the best that they have every day. And the best of what you actually have in your possession is going to ebb and flow. And then riding solo is the last thing to not do. We are in it together inherently. My success is tied to your success. My liberation is tied to your liberation. So understanding that, like, while you may have the capacity to do this right now by yourself, what do we need you to do in order to move forward successfully? It's like the African proverb, right? Like, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So then what does this mean for me, right? Like, as you're sitting there thinking about, okay, so we have Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we have the level 6 leading, like, I am most powerful when I choose a single cause, I dedicate my best self to it, and it's a cause that betters the collective. Then what does that mean for how I need to move through my life moving forward? So here is a model that I built a long time ago. It's called the Sarah Lloyd model of surviving the shit. Now, number one, it's a model because, yeah, you know how academia works, right? You're supposed to research and test a bunch of stuff. I didn't do all that. And this was before I was in grad school too. And I think it's really important to think about, like, as we navigate challenging situations, what does it look like to survive it in a real tangible way, instead of the toxic positivity that often gets poured on us to say, like, well, what's the benefit? Like, what lessons are we learning in this moment, right? And it dismisses the struggle and the challenges that come from continuing to grow and change, right? Our brains literally create discomfort and friction in moments when we try to change something. So you might have never worked out a day in your life, and you're like, you know what? Monday is going to be the day. On Monday, it never fails, right? You have these moments where you're like, are we sure we want to do this? We're going to be sore. We could be sleeping. There are a million other things we could rather do, right? And all of that is your brain trying to figure out, like, how do we best survive this situation, because it thinks in patterns. So unless you have an intentional model about how to move through that differently, then you're inherently going to lean back on what's comfortable. So first, experience the shit. I have a friend who talks about all the time, blow that shit out. It's important to experience what happens, what hardships you have, what barriers you have to becoming your best self, to let it sink in. Don't make excuses for it. Don't try to explain it. Don't justify it. Just let it be what it is. It happened, and we need to move forward. The next is to sort it. So I want you all to imagine, right? Like, we're, statewide, we're moving into, like, things opening and things. So if you aren't already traveling, maybe we can travel sometime soon, right? And let's say I call you and I'm like, yes, friend, we're going on a trip. It's going to be amazing. We're going to go for 12 days. Pack your stuff. We're going to Hawaii. Okay. So you pack all your things, and you have, like, all the different pairs of shoes for all the different outfits, right? You got all your drip laid out. You have different accessories for the different outfits. Everything's good. And then I call you and I'm like, ooh, so it turns out to check our bags, we have to pay like $1,000. So let's just take a carry-on. Okay. So now you're going to have to downsize what you just laid out to pack, right? Because you can't bring all of that. So you got to take less pairs of shoes. You got to take maybe like one bathing suit and just do laundry. Like, you're going to have to shift and change and downsize what you're bringing. And that's what sorting the shit is about. It's about saying, I can't afford to take all of these things with me in my head space, in my heart space. So I'm going to make some decisions about what comes and what goes. So as I move forward, does this challenge serve me? Does this challenge serve the collective, right? So some examples might be, you might have a conflict with a friend and you're like, you know what, to be honest, like I'm grumpy. We don't need to talk about it, but also like, if you could be kind, that'd be great. Then there are other times where you might go through a challenging situation, which was really traumatic, which was really harmful. And your story of overcome is how you show up in the collective and say, like, this is what it looks like to keep rising above, right? So it's really important that you make those decisions. Your decisions might not be my decisions. Your decisions might not make sense to your friends. It doesn't really matter as long as you are purposeful about it. And then next you reconcile. So if you decide you're going to let something go, let it go. It doesn't serve you to be like, okay, we're in conflict. You were really rude to me. I'll let it go now. I forgive you. And then 2 minutes later to be like, but I'm still really offended, right? Like it doesn't work. And so if you can't fit it in the suitcase, don't bring it with you in your head. So it's really important that we have those things aligned and then get it mentally and physically out of the space, whatever process you need. There may be ritual you build around letting painful things go, but making sure that you take care of that and get to a point that you can let it go. And then get your shit, which means you get to decide how you want to show up and do it authentically. How are you carrying that? What lessons have you learned? And how can you own it? Sometimes you're going to show up in space and be bold and brave, and maybe you're like a Sarah Lloyd type person, right? And some people are quiet and don't take up so much space, right? If you can authentically show up in your space, once you get your carry-on suitcase aligned and you've reconciled what comes and what doesn't, that's when you show up most powerfully because you get out of your own way. So a call to action. Now, we talked about level 6 leadership that is happening inside of self-transcendence, right? Again, you are your best self, which is powerful, and then you dedicate yourself to a single cause for the great of the collective. So walking out through that and understanding that the things that get in your way can be reconciled through the model of surviving the shit, then what's one commitment you'll do in the next week to live out level 6 leadership? Again, that's self-transcendent leadership. So take a minute to write that down, and then you can share it in the chat, or if you'd like to share it with the group, go ahead and raise your hand, and we'll take a few minutes to do that. Okay, so we have being unapologetically honest, cutting the grass around the garden, exploring my status in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Good. Give yourself some grace around the fact that you might be in different spaces or around different contexts, and that it's really not, even though the model suggests that you move linearly through it, it might not be as linear as that, right? So give yourself some grace if you're in 4 and then all of a sudden you're in 2, like, you know, because life happens much outside of our own control, right? Look at myself and my transgressions. Patience. I'm way too quick to argue this quarter. Ooh, I think with patience comes grace though, right? So grace is important. Being transparent and speaking true. A good let shit go ritual. Working on my level 1 needs. Ask for help when needed. Do not make permanent decisions on temporary emotions. Burn the past paperwork I found in my closet. Transformation. Be who I am. Bolder despite the judgments. Self-love and balance. Yeah, that's great. Very good. Thank you. Okay. And with that, we'll move to 3 questions for Sarah. So you all have an opportunity. I mean, if you have more than 3, that's great. But otherwise, you all have an opportunity to ask me 3 questions about level 6 leadership.
Hi, I want to ask, what do you do when you have people of color that are leaders and they show favoritism? Like how can we like work out our differences, our relational hurts and harms and acts of disrespect that we do to each other? How can we move forward? How can we move forward collectively until we go back through the hurt that was caused?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. So I think a huge part of it is to also look at, if you start utilizing level 6 leadership as a framework for moving through leadership, I think what it also provides you is a tool to not diagnose, because that's not our work, right? Unless it is our work, then do that. But to look at the experience of others from a place of compassion, grace, and mercy, holding Maslow's hierarchy of need also. So for instance, you work at an organization, you have a supervisor who, gives all the great projects to your peer and all the grunt work to you. So looking at like, where in this process are my supervisor and my teammates' needs being met, and then where are they not? And then how do I have a conversation about that as a framework so that it becomes about, because people understand I statements and things like that. And I think you can still not take ownership or accountability or still do damage in relationships using I statements, right? Because you can be like, I feel like I have a problem with you, right? So and that's not productive. And so what it does look like is saying, I understand that we're navigating this situation seeking to meet needs, and I'm operating under the assumption that all of us want to be level 6 leaders. So in that space, I'm curious, like, where are your needs not being met in a way that we can move forward collectively? Because that's my goal. That's what I'm setting out to do. I'm trying to do my best, and let's have a conversation about where needs are not being met. I think if we start thinking about the things that are preventing us from being our best, our actual needs we have, then it's harder to dismiss them as preferences, right? So you may have preferences about like blue pen over black pen, and it's easy for me to be like, get over it, just do what we need to do. But if I fundamentally understand you need things in a certain way, and not weaponizing that, but understanding you need things in a certain way, it's easier to meet with grace, compassion, and mercy. So I think establishing first that that's a framework that you would like to show up and move. And then I think using that language around like, where are the needs missing on your end? And then here are some needs that I have that aren't being met. So that you can move forward, understanding that you all want the same thing, which is to function as a unified team. Does that help?
Hi, Sarah. Thank you so much
Hi.
for being here. Also, you're right. You are fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you.
My question is, I know that this is being recorded, but will we have access to some of the slides that you've posted or the PowerPoint that you've shared with us? And then have you also written any books or editorials, or have you published anything anywhere we can look at?
Great, thank you. Yeah, so I definitely will share the slides with the team, and then they can share it out. So no problem there. And then it's really funny. I haven't written a book, but I've been asked that about like 12 times in the last couple of weeks. So it feels like it might be time. So yeah, I have my contact information towards the end. And there's some information I can get you for sure, but no book quite yet. Thank you.
Okay, first of all, I appreciate being here, and thank you for allowing me to ask this question. And I really and truly appreciate your fabulousness. Okay, the question that I got, and because the self-transcendence, I appreciate you, exposing that, something I've never thought about. But my question is, like, how would one learn to adopt, overcome the humility and uncomfort of the misfortunes that, that one didn't create when trying to serve their community? Things that came about that we really couldn't do anything about, but we have to deal with.
Totally. That's so good. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to delineate between responsibility and ownership. So for instance, I once was a CEO at a nonprofit, and my predecessor showed up in a bunch of different ways that created some dynamics I needed to manage. And what I could have done is come in and been like, yeah, I didn't do that, so I don't know why we're talking about this right now, right? Or I could come in and be like, wow, like the impact of those decisions are impactful. And I totally get that. And I'm not responsible for the choices that brought us here. And I do take ownership for the fact that I get to move forward now. One of the challenges that happens when we get into that paralysis state of like, I'm in all of these different environments that I didn't control. And now I'm trying to come from a place of like I just want to grasp at some power so I can like move, right? Is to say, I take ownership for the things that I can shift and change inside the power I have now. And if I don't have ownership and ability to take power in that, then I need to align with resources and people inside of my community who do. There's a lot of really powerful work around like mentorship programs, for instance, right? And what typically happens inside of mentorship programs is that we're aligned with people based on affinity, right? So, my advisor in undergrad was like the one Black faculty member at college, right? And they were like, you're set to go. And that was super helpful in some ways. And especially for systemically marginalized populations, it's critical that we have mentors and we have champions. Champions are people who have access to resource and are willing to get us into spaces where they have resource. The challenge for us is to navigate what does it look like for us, because we cannot expect mentor dynamics from champion friends, right? So there's some real healing and wholeness and life-giving goodness that comes from mentorship, where we feel seen and heard and understood. Inside of champion dynamics, that may not be the case, right? Because again, you have someone who has access to resource, which means they have access to privilege, which means they may not always get the things that you need and understand. They may say some things that are harmful. And so I think you have to right size what that balance is. But until you get a real specific look at like, what am I willing to take ownership for? Not responsibility, ownership. And then what do I need to do that? And making sure that your collective environment includes people who can get you access to the resource. Otherwise, you'll be running on a treadmill instead of running down the sidewalk, right? So there's real perspective and real progress that can happen when we're focused on the collective, including those who have access to resource and privilege. Thank you for your question. Great question. Okay. And with that, you're welcome for all the dopeness. That was real. And if you would like to get in touch with me, I'm happy to get in touch with you. You can find me at soulradical.com. I'm on all social medias with the Sarah Lloyd. The other Sarah Lloyds were really upset about that. So sorry, Sarah Lloyds. And then also my cell phone number. If you call or text anytime, I approach the work as though once our lives intersect, you're my people. And so we're truly, truly in this together, and we have to stick together and support each other in this work. And so I'm happy to do that however I can. So please don't hesitate to reach out. And thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you all.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oop, hold on, I'm experiencing some technical difficulties. We really, 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 really appreciate the good word from Sarah Lloyd. You know, it's always nice to hear beautiful things about what's going on, not just with our school, but the perspective of our community. And also, I like to thank everybody for their wonderful questions. This is a great day. It's a great day. It's a great day for our learning community. It's a great day for our school, and it's a great day for everybody that was blessed enough to zoom in and check this out. Just like Mr. Dilworth said, it's a beautiful gathering of great minds, and we do really appreciate it. Right now, I am going to acknowledge a hard worker in Mr. Bradley Lowsky. He is definitely one of our own. He's our recruitment lead. And I just really want to put out a nice word, a shout out for Bradley and his hard work as far as being the recruitment lead for Evergreen Tacoma. Evergreen Tech is what I call it. And I would also like to go ahead on and start a little part we have here called givebacks. I am going to go ahead on and call on one of our students to go ahead and give a quick give back on what went on, and then I'll follow it up, and then I'm going to go ahead on and turn it over to Dr. Lee. And the student that I'm going to call on for the give back right now will be our own Shannon Ice.
I'm sorry, I heard my name.
Yeah, I'm calling on you for a quick give back, Shannon.
Okay. That was phenomenal. Just thank you everyone for all of your speeches today. And we're really grateful for the time that you have taken out to come and speak in this Zoom world. So I wanted to thank the mayor. I have actually met her in person before this COVID fiasco went down. So it was nice to see your face again, Miss Victoria. Thank you for coming to this event. Sarah and Miss Williams, everybody that was able to speak. I really appreciate it. We all do on behalf of Evergreen State Tacoma. On behalf of the committee, we thank you. On behalf of all of student body and the professors, thank you everyone that has made it today. And back to you, G.
Thank you so much for the kind words. We really appreciate you. I just wanted to go ahead on and caveat that great give back from Shannon. We really appreciate the mayor coming down. We really appreciate Candace Wesley coming down. We really appreciate Pastor Williams coming down. And we really appreciate everybody that took their time to come and participate in this today. We really do. We can't make it without the people in the community. We can't do anything without the people in the community, especially at Evergreen Tech. You know, most of you guys might know the story. A part of the reason why Evergreen Tacoma was established was to make sure people in the community in that neighborhood could go ahead on and get to the school. And it's amazing because I've been going, I haven't stopped nonstop since last spring, since I joined Evergreen. And it's like, it's almost like a feeding to me. I've been going for a year straight, and I'm almost scared of what I'll do when I graduate. I'm trying to find something to participate in to link me to the school, because I'm kind of hooked on this learning thing. It really does help, and I'm really appreciative. And I like a shout out to all my professors, all the hard work they've done, everything they've participated in to go ahead on and make me a more well-rounded individual, a better speaker, you know, a better student, and I'll even say a better comrade when it comes to learning, from all the professors to the administrative staff. We love you. We couldn't make it without you. Thank you so much for everything you guys have given us. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Dean Arunga, and she's going to go ahead on and follow through. If she has any instructions for me, she has no problem telling me what to do.
First of all, Albert, you are the jewel. You have managed to run this program, and your eloquence is priceless. So thank you so much for picking up this job. You are doing a fabulous job. And I just want to echo to all of our speakers today, thank you so much for what you have brought to our community. So rich. Sarah Lloyd, thank you very much for what you have brought. We are so grateful. And for all the other speakers, Netra, our mayor, wow, you are amazing. We can't wait for the building to open so that we can all be together and be in community together. Meanwhile, I want to introduce you to Bradley Lotzka. Bradley, are you there? Can you wave your hand a little bit? This is our recruitment lead. So
hello.
There are any people in the audience today, we would really love to have you meet Bradley. He'll be in a breakout. I believe they gave you a breakout room, Bradley. Would you like to say a quick hello?
They did. Hello, everyone. My name is Bradley Letzka. I am also a native of Tacoma, graduate of Evergreen State College, and super happy to be here and serving the community. When I got asked to come back and help, I was like, yes, please sign me up. I get to go home and hopefully escort others to a great level of education. I got a master's in criminal justice. And so as Victoria was saying, we need to not allow others to go, and we can't make that system perfect, but we could make and help others to never go into that system and dismantle it in that fashion. So when I got the opportunity to come back to Evergreen, that was exactly where my mind was at. And I'm happy to be here. And if anybody is willing and wanting to come to Evergreen, please email me or a phone call. I'm going to put my information in the chat again. I know there's been a lot of conversation in the chat, so it probably disappeared a little bit. So I'm going to put it back in there, and feel free to reach out to me, and I'll walk you through any steps that you need help in, and do a Zoom meeting with you. We can share screens and whatever it's going to take. Right. Friends, family, your child, your aunt, your uncle, your grandpa, whoever wants to come to the community.
Thank you. And Trey, let's make sure we give Bradley a breakout room in case anyone has any questions about Evergreen Tacoma. So thank you, Bradley. What an amazing beginning. And now we're moving into the real fair. So I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Lee. I think you are just as proud as I am. I think this is just amazing to see our students already shining. We haven't even seen the projects yet. Dr. Lee.
Hi, welcome everyone. It's a big surprise that I'm on the schedule. I think we are going to ask all our students introduce their topics, right? And I think it's best coming from our Dean, Taylor Runga, because she has been practiced that. All your names.
Okay, well, thank you.
Please,
you're so
Dr.
gracious.
Taylor Runga. Yes, welcome everyone.
Thank you. Now you got to see our fabulous lead, our faculty lead. And I am going to ask all of the people who have projects to please give us a quick introduction to them, and then we will turn it over so that you can visit these projects. Shall we begin then?
Way Martin's group.
Hi, give me just a sec. So our group decided to do our project on homelessness in Tacoma. Our project is called Press Any Button, an integrated triage approach to homelessness. And it outlines the current issues with the coordinated entry system that's being used by 2 organizations in Tacoma, why it hasn't been effective in reducing the homelessness rate, and how we think that it could be expanded and coordinated with other systems to create a more effective system of homelessness reduction for the city and the county.
Who else is in your group, Wei?
Oh, my group members are the lovely G, Albert Gardner, the lovely Kay Ajifu, Linda Soto, our wonderful data analyst, and Demont Van. So those are all of our group members. Our seminar lead is the lovely, the magnificent, the wonderful Dr. Ming Zhao Li. And we are just so excited to present for you guys.
Thank you very much. Aaron, can you talk about your guys' group? Or whoever from your group that wants to speak.
Good afternoon, Trey. This is Manny. I can speak for our group. That's fine. Our group consists of, we have Emmanuel Adderley, Henry Wallace, Karen Taylor, Jamila Dennis, and Jasmine DeArmond. And our project is titled Community Collaborations with Police Officers, Decriminalizing Mental Health, and Supporting Effective Cultural Awareness. And this project is designed to evoke love and humanity for all. We hope to promote collaboration between law enforcement and the communities they serve, to strengthen cultural awareness, decriminalize mental health, and work towards erasing abuse of authority. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Otto says they are ready, so go ahead, Otto.
Hello, welcome everyone for taking the time to be here today. My group's project is entitled Exploring the Lack of Humanity and Resources in Tacoma During the COVID-19 Crisis. This project has evolved into trying to better understand where the city and the county, Pierce County, are lacking in terms of resources for the homeless population, as well as barriers that nonprofit advocates face when trying to provide those resources. We're trying to get to the root of what people need, people who are living outside need the most right now, especially in the last year of COVID. My group members are Lancy Canley, Mark Ford, Krista Hansen, Leah Marina Kinney, Karen Vargas, Cindy Terry Kincaid, and myself.
Thank you. Jamia and Anastasia. Okay, let's see here. Let's go with Amanda Hahn's group.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amanda Hahn, and I'm a member of a research team that includes Keisha Bates, Passion Johnson, and Christine Wood. Our team researched Second Chances Prison Alternatives for Youth. We examined how 2.1 million youth under the age of 18 are arrested in the United States during a single year. Over the course of our studies, we found that the U.S. prison system is in dire need of reform and the implementation of several different kinds of rehabilitation that could benefit our troubled youth to prevent them from entering the prison system altogether. And we did this study under the amazing Dr. Lee.
Thank you. Bonnie French's group.
Hi, everybody. I think Amanda is here. Mandy, are you available?
Yes.
Okay, take it away.
Okay. My name is Amanda Timms. Our presentation is called The Effects of Remote Learning COVID-19 Edition, and it's by Lex Burris, Bonnie French, Desi Nees. Music composed and sung by Desi Nees. Our presentation reports on the academic, social, and emotional effects remote learning has on students, educational faculty, and the community during the pandemic. We collected and analyzed academic data from a local high school, in addition to conducting a survey, acquiring information from community regarding their social and emotional well-being. So enjoy.
Thank you. Let's go with Camila's group. Can someone from Camila's group speak?
I will. My name is Joanna Zarelli, and our research project is a mentor solution for individuals experiencing homelessness. This project looks at how a comprehensive mentorship program can be a part of the solution for assisting this community in Pierce County. And we invite you to visit our project on the webpage and ask you to complete the questionnaire, as it will help expand our learning for this research. And my colleagues for this project are Camelia Constable and Elaine Tuisula, and we did this project under Dr. Lee. Thank you.
Thank you. Kenya, Adams, and Aaron, would you guys like to talk about your group?
Hello, everyone. My name is Kenya Adams, and Aaron Bryant Thomas is my partner in crime for this very important topic. We decided to research Black suffering to Black healing, so addressing the internalized racial oppression in the Black community, unpacking the manifestations of internalized racial oppression, and providing solutions for healing. We chose this topic because it was very important, especially with the past decade. So many things have been going on, but there's so much more history before that we definitely wanted to bring to light and really get our Black Americans and our Black people to really heal and understand and acknowledge the things that we are dealing with, and providing ways that we can overcome this together and creating a stronger community. We did this research under the very great Dr. Paul McCreary, and yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Maria Alvestad, would you speak for your group?
Yeah, hi, my name is Maria Alvestad Arith. Also in our group is Jacqueline Kirby and Elaine Lindley. We did our project on the effectiveness of tiny home communities in helping people move forward from homelessness. So we spoke to some different tiny home communities, tiny home villages in the Tacoma, Olympia, and I believe Seattle areas. And we communicated with some of the staff there and worked on kind of comparing different strategies that are used in different places. And we have a few speakers here today who will be speaking in room B, I believe. And they are from Lehigh, which is the Low Income Housing Institute. So that'll be happening in a bit. Thank you.
Thank you. Lena, would you like to speak for your group or have someone in your group speak?
Yes. Can you hear me, Trey?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. Hi, my name is Lena Tebow. The title of our presentation is Reimagining Reparations. My colleagues are Mia Angeline, Denisha Harris, Renee Klein, and Jessica Larrenaga. Our research project is a comparative analysis of the history of reparations paid in this country, as well as redefining new forms of reparations that address the exclusionary policies inflicted upon Black Americans. Black and African American, the Black and African American community. And this project also highlights ideas that will foster a complete restoration. And we did our research under Dr. McCreary.
Thank you. Horatio.
Hey, everybody. My group's topic is building and demonstrating BIPOC and immigrant entrepreneurship. This project was completed by Anita Lemos, Alia Hussein, and myself, Horacio Perez Morales. It's a quick intro about it. So there's no doubt that the US economy is among the most powerful in the world, yet the country is rife with inequality and lack of social mobility, especially for BIPOC and immigrant communities. With this research presentation, we intend to uplift, document, and demonstrate people of our communities and their struggles towards economic freedom. And our presentation will feature a few local business owners and a few organizations as well.
All right, thank you. Anya Robertson.
Good afternoon to students, faculty, and guests. Thank you all for being here today. My name is Anya Robertson, and my fellow researchers are Andrea Lee and Anthony Tackett. Today, we will present our research of the question, how does radical acceptance transform behavior? Radical acceptance is the full acceptance of reality with your mind, body, and spirit. Our research was carried out under Dr. Gilda Shepherd. Thank you.
Thank you. Dion Bonner's group.
You're muted, Dion.
Unmute, Dion.
So sorry, I thought I had pressed the button. Give me a second then. Okay, sorry about that. I'm Dion Bonner, and I'm part of a research team that includes Jamila Lewis and Holly Ludwig. Our research is about empowering an urban community using writing, painting, and popular education. We're asking the question, how can writing, painting, and popular education empower and enhance creativity within the Tacoma urban community? And our focus is on community psychology, which concerns the relationships of individuals with communities and societies. By integrating research within action, it seeks to understand and enhance quality of life. And we hope that you participate in our project, which includes creative art activities. Thank you.
Thank you. Raina, your group.
Good afternoon, all. My name is Reina Geronimo. My partners consist of Tyler Jacobs and Rosa Del C. Our research project is entitled "The Relationship Between COVID Restrictions and Internet Availability." Our research question was has internet access become necessary for K-20 education for Pierce County residents in response to COVID-19? Our purpose was to explore the barriers to remote learning for low-income students and their families during the global pandemic and consider sustainable resolutions. Our administrator was Dr. Shepherd. Thank you.
Thank you. Bree Boyer, how about your group?
Hello, my name is Brianna Boyer, and on behalf of my research team members, Genevieve Levad, Ashley Jones, and myself, I would like to present a retroactive justice check-in as Washington approaches a decade of legalized recreational marijuana. This is an activist research proposal that seeks open opportunities for people convicted of minor marijuana possessions.
Thank you. Ronell, how about your group?
Hello, give me 1 second here. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Renelle Bayless. My group members are Sonia Spinarski, Fern Talos, Lanisha Visi, Lakeisha Farmer, and Rebecca Padilla. Our research was conducted under the vision of Dr. Zaragoza. Our project was seeking sustainability and civic engagement, and we sought to better understand how activism burnout happens, what circumstances and factors exacerbate activism burnout happening, how to mitigate the occurrence of activism burnout. And we recently agreed to make this a longitudinal study. So our group is very excited about doing that, and we hope you enjoy.
Thank you. Jaden, we want to speak for your group?
Yes, I will. Hello, my name is Jaden Baker. I'm introducing my group's project that includes members Jamie Hunt and Tamara Davis. Our project addresses the question, is there a real need for prison reform due to mass incarceration and various disparities in the criminal justice system, and just a blatant disregard for people of color in the criminal justice system? We display and inform the injustices through various graphs, stats, facts, and dispelling myths through videos. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have one last group. I do not see either of their members here, but I did want to share. It is a group with Anastasia Hartshorn and Jamia Zuzuela, and their group did Creating Healthy Prenatal Birthing and Postpartum Experiences of Women of Color. And you'll be able to find all of these projects on our website, which I will post in the chat here in just a moment. And do you want to say anything, Dr. McCreary, before we move on?
No, I do not. Except that
Okay.
things are fantastic so far.
All righty, then I'm going to pass it over to you for just a moment, Dean, so you can say what you'd like to while I get everything ready for our groups.
Well, what I would like to do is, first of all, take this opportunity to thank all of the people who presented your projects. That was so well done. It was very professional and enticing. We all want to visit your projects now. I also want to thank Paul McCrary and Peter Bacho for being the co-organizers as our faculty of this spring fair this year. You have done an amazing job. We have reached this day and it looks like things are going very well. So I would like to congratulate both of you and the committee who worked so tirelessly to make sure that the spring fair was made ready today. And also can never forget James Applegate. I bet you don't even know who that is because we're always calling him Trey. But Trey, you have been a real champion in this work. We're so grateful for you. The work is just beautiful. And as the mayor said, we don't wait to leave before we serve. And so we are serving now, today, just in this very spring fair. And I hope that all of our visitors will find some real gems in every presentation they visit today.
Thank you very much. I also want to thank Elaine Tuasila, who has been the architect of putting all of these projects on the website and working with all of the groups to get these online. So big shout out to Elaine.